There was a time when American homes had real character: steep roofs, wrap-around porches, hand-carved details, and stories built right into the walls. Each style reflected the dreams of its era, from cozy cottages to grand Victorians. Today, many of those designs have faded from modern streets, but their charm still lingers, reminding us how beautiful and full of soul people once built the places they called home. Once the pride of working-class neighborhoods across the American South, shotgun houses were long, narrow, and lined up room after room. They were so straight that a shotgun blast could travel from front to back, hence the name. Cheap to build and easy to cool, they gave families dignity and independence. The front porch was where life happened. Neighbors chatted, kids played, and music drifted into warm evenings. Over time, bigger and more private homes replaced them, but their spirit never faded. Each surviving shotgun house still tells the story of simplicity, community, and open-door living. They weren't just homes. They were the heartbeat of neighborhoods built on connection. There was a time when you could order your dream house through the mail, literally. From 1908 to 1940, Sears sold modern homes kits that arrived by train, complete with lumber, nails, and instructions. Families built them piece by piece, often with help from friends, creating sturdy, well-loved homes that truly felt earned. With dozens of designs available, these houses captured early 20th century America's self-reliant spirit. But as suburban sprawl and mass production took over, the idea of building your own faded away. Today, spotting an old Sears kit home feels like uncovering history, a reminder of when home ownership meant more than signing papers. It meant building your dream by hand. These houses look like they came straight out of a fairy tale, colorful, ornate, and brimming with personality. Built in the late 1800s, Queen Anne Victorians were masterpieces of craftsmanship, with turrets, towers, and wraparound porches that seemed to invite storytelling. Families painted them in bold, gingerbread colors that made neighborhoods come alive. But as tastes shifted toward simplicity and upkeep, costs soared. Many were remodeled or torn down. Still, the few that remain feel almost magical, like stepping into another century. They remind us of a time when beauty and detail mattered more than convenience. When homes weren't just built to live in, they were built to inspire. Step onto a street lined with these homes, and you'd swear you'd walked into the pages of a Gothic novel, all shadows and romance. With pointed arches, steep roofs, and carved wooden trim, the Gothic Revival homes brought a touch of medieval Europe to 19th century America. Surrounded by ivy and gardens, they felt almost alive, their tall windows flooding rooms with moody, soft light. Back then, architecture aimed to stir emotion, not just function. But as practicality took over, these ornate homes disappeared, replaced by simpler builds. Today, when you stumble upon one still standing, it's hard not to stop and stare. Gothic Revival homes are timeless, haunting reminders of when art and architecture were beautifully intertwined. Inspired by the elegance of early America, these homes stood tall with white columns and brick walls that spoke of pride and tradition. The Colonial Revival homes symbolize stability and a return to classic American roots during times of change. Inside, everything was centered and balanced, from staircases to fireplaces. But as modern designs and open floor plans took over, the formal style began to fade. Still, their presence remains comforting, like a reminder of simpler times when family, routine, and structure shaped home life. A true blend of elegance and nostalgia, Colonial Revival homes were America's way of looking back while moving forward. Sleek lines, wide windows, and an open feel, mid-century modern homes redefined post-war America. Built mostly between the 1940s and 1960s, they celebrated simplicity and connection to nature. Living rooms opened right into patios, and glass walls let in light like never before. It was all about space that breathed. But as trends changed, people began craving privacy again, and these low, horizontal homes slowly disappeared from new neighborhoods. Still, their influence can be seen everywhere today, from minimalist furniture to open-concept designs. Each surviving mid-century home carries that timeless charm, a symbol of optimism, innovation, and the belief that modern living could still feel warm and human. Ah yes, the homes that made American suburbs look like something out of an English storybook. With steeply pitched roofs, decorative timber framing, and tall, narrow windows, they stood out with charm and personality. Popular in the early 1900s, Tudor Revival homes gave middle-class families a touch of old-world elegance. Inside, dark wood beams and cozy fireplaces made everything feel intimate. But as building costs rose, their intricate designs became too expensive to maintain. Many were replaced by simpler ranch-style homes. Yet the surviving Tudors still turn heads, a perfect mix of fantasy and history. They remind us of a time when home design aimed to feel magical, not just modern. Back in the 1910s and 20s, these homes lined the streets of American neighborhoods, offering comfort, charm, and affordability. With low roofs, wide porches, and built-in furniture, they made small spaces feel personal and cozy. Originating from the arts and crafts movement, they encouraged craftsmanship and simplicity over extravagance. Families loved them because they felt lived in from day one. But as suburban tastes shifted toward bigger homes, the humble bungalow faded from new developments. Still, these little houses carry a warmth few modern designs can match. Each one feels like a snapshot of an era when home meant porch swings, flower boxes, and evenings spent watching the sunset from your own front steps. There's something timeless about those little cottages with steep roofs and shuttered windows that seem straight out of a painting. These were the classic Cape Cod homes, first built by settlers in New England and revived again in the 1930s. Their charm came from simplistic symmetrical design, central chimneys, and cozy interiors built to handle harsh winters. They were practical, warm, and easy to love. But as families grew and neighborhoods expanded, their compact layouts began to feel too small for modern life. Still, walking past one today feels like stepping back into America's storybook beginnings. Up in the mountains or tucked beside a quiet lake, these sharply peaked cabins once symbolized freedom and escape. Known as A-frames, their triangular roofs shed snow easily and gave them a clean, modern look, perfect for vacation life in the 1950s and 60s. They were simple to build and felt adventurous, part architecture, part lifestyle statement. But as year-round living became the norm, their steep angles and limited space lost practicality. Today, many survive as retro getaways, cherished for their nostalgic charm. They're reminders of a time when Americans dreamed of simplicity, weekends in nature, and houses that felt as bold and carefree as the decade itself. If you've ever seen a 19th century home with tall, arched windows and decorative brackets under the eaves, you've probably stumbled upon an Italianate beauty. These homes were America's romantic take on Renaissance villas, meant to feel elegant yet approachable. With cupolas, balconies, and ornate details, they brought a bit of European flair to small-town streets. But intricate architecture takes time and money, and by the early 1900s, simpler styles took over. Still, their presence lingers in old city blocks, graceful survivors of an era that valued artistry over efficiency. They remind us that once, even everyday homes dared to dream in style. Walk through an old American neighborhood and you might spot one. Wide porches, thick wooden beams, and handcrafted details that make you stop and smile. These are Craftsman bungalows, born from a movement that celebrated honest work and natural materials. Built mostly in the early 1900s, they were meant to feel human-scaled and welcoming. Families spent evenings on the porch, not in front of screens, and every nook felt purposeful. But as mass-produced homes took over, that handcrafted charm became rare. Even so, a true craftsman stands out, warm, grounded, and built with soul. It's the kind of home that doesn't just shelter you, it hugs you. These old homes might not fit today's world, but they sure knew how to make it beautiful. If you enjoyed this trip through vintage architecture, check out our next video on Memories of the 1970s for another look back at the stories that shaped everyday American life.